Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Coming up next, it's the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime Live for Friday, March 20th, 2020. Damian Nelson sitting alongside David Hero, and we are joined by our associates all over the United States, including Josh Sherdoff, Drew Bay, and the lovely Linda Kay. AEW wins the week. WrestleMania is still up in the air. WWE Hall of Fame may have a new date. We've got a preview of tonight's SmackDown, your questions and comments, and ODB joins us live in just a few minutes. The Pro Wrestling Report Primetime Live starts right now. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, all over the world to the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime Live. Damian Nelson sitting on...
It's Total El Mundo.
Tell who what?
Total El Mundo.
Can you speak up? I can barely hear you.
I said Total El Mundo.
Telemundo. We're not on Telemundo.
You're not.
Damian Nelson sitting alongside David Octavius the Tiberius, the alleged backyard, one-time, straight-edge, knockout hardcore, Hall of Famer hero. How the heck are you here today?
You know, it's Friday. It's Fish Fry Friday. You gotta love that, don't you?
Well, fish fries have been canceled in a lot of places.
Whoa. Remember, we used to go to all the Irish pubs. You'd get the fish and chips gimmick.
Yes.
That was one of your favorites, alongside with a few carb.
Well, folks, we are indeed live, and we are live on Fight TV. We are live on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, just like we just twitched there on video. So much, folks, including live at PWR360.com. But this is all about you, and we want to hear your comments. We want to hear your interaction of what we're talking about here tonight, here on the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime Live. And that is, follow us on all of our socials at PWR360 on Twitter, PWR360 now on Facebook and Instagram, and of course here on YouTube Live. We've got your comments coming up on the screen here. We're going to be going into the lounge later on where we will focus on your comments entirely. But before we get to that, David Hero, are you ready?
Of course, I'm always ready. Are you
ready? You don't look
ready?
ready. You look stiff again.
You know what it is? I'm getting used to the new surroundings. That's what it is.
Well, what's new? Just have a slightly different camera angle, that's all.
Yeah, that's all. But yeah, I mean, you know, I'm a creature of habit. I have habits.
And we don't want to talk about those habits because it's time for this week's top story. When I say this week, I mean right now's top story.
Oh, like this moment.
This moment, like today, because we're on 3 times a week now, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 7 o'clock p.m. Before we get to
we're not going to do any countdowns like what the Inner Circle did, right?
What do you mean?
With their 3, 2, 1?
Well, you never know.
I'm not.
What will we be counting down to?
The finish?
Top story, folks. Last Wednesday was the last, or this past Wednesday was the last time we were with you live, and we were going right into an unknown that would be AEW Dynamite. And what we would find is that, whoa, daddy, did they deliver a heck of a show Wednesday night on TNT. And it wasn't just because of 2 huge debuts. It was because it just felt right. In a weird way, Dave. We watched it together.
It was, yes. It was a different vibe. I mean, there was no audience, but there was still talent around the ring to like boo and cheer, and they were a distraction as well. They almost made you forget that it was an empty arena.
They did, and they did so in a way very differently than what WWE has presented on Raw and SmackDown. Keep in mind, though, this was their first effort in an empty arena environment. We saw that on I think it was the initial SmackDown, right?
Yes.
Where WWE also did the full show, essentially from the Performance Center. But AEW definitely won the night in a lot of the fans' eyes, and a lot of the viewers' eyes. In fact, 932,000 viewers, up 22% over the prior week.
Isn't that what I said? Didn't I say
that
they should at least improve by about 25%?
Yes, they did. So congratulations.
See?
You want a cookie?
Sure.
What kind of cookie?
M&Ms would be fantastic.
That's disgusting. Oatmeal raisin is what real men eat.
That's what gives me trust issues. Because I'm thinking it's going to be a chocolate chip cookie, and it's not.
Of course, folks, on AEW Dynamite, we saw the debut of two people. Brody Lee, formerly Luke Harper of WWE, and Matt Hardy. We had expected that for a while. We had expected both for a while. It finally did happen this past Wednesday on AEW Dynamite.
I can't believe how quick Matt showed up on the show. His contract just expired.
Yeah, usually there's a bit of a non-compete,
Well,
but not this
only
time.
if they're released. His contract ran out.
Ah, so the time was now.
Yeah.
Well, David Hero first. Brody Lee.
It was confusing. I mean, it's great for him. Obviously, he's recommitted because if you noticed, his beard was dyed a lot darker. There was no gray.
Was that the sign? Should I dye mine?
Well, I'm not dyeing mine. But he came out like Matt Hardy-esque kind of gear, with the buttoned-up trench, kind of like Kevin Thorne, Mordecai, and then But it was great.
I'm not a big fan of his.
Well, you have heat with Kevin Thorne because he gave you the Wedgie of Doom several years back.
Carry on as you were. I don't know why you're deviating.
But Brody Lee was a star. He legit owned his segment, and he went from being the part-time guy with the Wyatts to now a legit leader with whatever his group is going to be called.
We also saw the debut of Matt Hardy, which again, not really a surprise, but still done in a great way that it was surprising. Well executed by AEW this past Wednesday night. David, what did you think of Matt Hardy's debut?
I love Matt Hardy. I've been a Matt Hardy guy for a long time. He's been a long-time super friend. He always finds a way to reinvent himself to keep making money. And he did it again. I mean, he is immediately in a top spot to go against Chris Jericho in the Inner Circle.
Indeed, a great show overall, but the question is, why? And do we all agree with that? So, David Hero, your thoughts overall on the show, and before we get into some other specific things that happened on it.
Why? Because they knew that they
was it great or was it excellent?
No, it was fantastic. And they hit a home run knowing that the competition was on a bye week.
Now, let's be fair. What do you mean bye week? They still produce shows.
They didn't have anything new or special.
So, let's be fair. AEW was the second person to the party. WWE had already done their empty arena presentations. Obviously, some learning, some opportunities. They had more time to develop what they were going to do. And again, not knocking anybody or saying anybody stole from anybody, but seeing what WWE did and seeing how maybe it wasn't as greatly received as people may have thought, even though the ratings for both Raw and SmackDown were also up last week. AEW had a better chance at being successful.
Well, they did because they had more star power on the show as well. I mean, Raw and SmackDown...
More star power than Stone Cold Steve Austin?
But Steve Austin did nothing. He was
up
there to talk, yes. But you got to see matches with star powers in the matches.
Ah, you're talking about the stars and the likes of a Cody Rhodes, an Orange Cassidy, a Sammy Guevara.
Come on.
I'm already tired of your opinion, so let's go around the room, folks, and let's go ahead.
Hey, you watch that finger there, sure enough.
Let's go ahead
and
hear from the associates of the Pro Wrestling Report. We also want to hear from all of you out there as well. Again, keep those comments coming on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter as well, and we'll be sharing some of those comments here throughout the broadcast, and of course, later on during the lounge after ODB joins us. But Josh Chernoff, coming off the heels of a great episode of So Says Chernoff on Fight last night. Your thoughts on AEW last night? Did they win the week, as we have said here?
I think AEW absolutely won the week, and I think the number one reason is because they did something unique. WWE didn't stray. They sent their people to the ring and they had their match just as though there was an audience there, something we talked about on Wednesday. But AEW, they took an opportunity to say, hey, how can we make this a little unique? All right, we'll put some talent around ringside. One thing that they did that I thought was incredibly intelligent was to move the hard cam and have it face the entranceway so you're not constantly reminded that there was no audience. Also, maybe it was just the fact that they had that three-man booth. or that the action, maybe it's just the way that they balanced the volume, but it didn't sound empty in the way that Raw and SmackDown both sounded empty last week. So I thought they just did an incredible job. I was nervous about the Brody Lee thing and the Matt Hardy thing being in front of nobody, but I thought they really pulled that off. I thought they did a great job.
Well, thank you, Josh. Drew, what did you think of AEW? Did they hit the home run that Dave said they did?
Yeah, I think they 100% did. I think there's no better way to debut those guys in that given situation the way that they did. I thought them having the heels on one side, the faces on the other was fantastic. I thought Jericho and Sammy Guevara, their interactions with everybody was just, it was an exceptional show for the circumstances that they were given, and I think it has surpassed anything WWE unfortunately has done in an empty performance center. And the WWE had star power through the roof, but it just didn't translate well at all. And AEW hit a home run. Nice tie, by the way, Josh.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you for noticing.
And Linda Kay, welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Report Prime Time. Of course, an OG from the show, joining the two new guys, Josh and Drew. Linda, AEW Dynamite this past Wednesday night. It's understandable if you spend the next few minutes just talking about Cody Rhodes. We get it.
Well, AEW Dynamite was tremendous. I mean, both promotions obviously want to do something to set apart from one another given the no audience situation, and they definitely set themselves apart from what we saw on Raw and SmackDown by having the superstars at ringside, which not only brought a comedic factor, but also just a way for you to feel more engaged, like everyone has been saying, hearing the interaction, seeing the guys at ringside, Spears with a beer in his hand, and was that a chicken wing or a burger in his hand? I don't know. When Jericho came out, having Sammy singing along, like that just brought some light to the show. And having Matt Hardy come out at the very end and just setting that up between him and Chris Jericho was a perfect ending to a great show, even without an audience there.
Thank you, Linda. Agreed. A great show. I mean, so here's a question for all of you. Would it have been as great a show if our expectations had not been a bit lowered by the situation and what we had seen from WWE, which again, I am not knocking, because I said a couple of days ago here on this broadcast, no matter what any of the shows present, generally speaking, during this time frame, it's never going to be a bad show. But the question is if they had an audience, if it were normal, if it were just a random week for AEW, would it have been as good in your opinions? We'll start with, Dave, why don't you talk?
Well, it's hard to say because NXT is going towards WrestleMania.
I'm sorry? NXT is. Oh, yeah, they were on Wednesday night.
Right. So
an interview clip show, basically.
If everything is being equal, and NXT has all of their talents, the Finn Balor's, the Keith Lee's, all of their guys, I'm sure it may have been different.
May have been. Associates, Drew, what do you think? Would it have been the same if there was a crowd in a regular week, if you could say?
For NXT, no. For AEW, I think they probably would have drawn higher ratings, and I think they would have got a better reaction from everybody. I think NXT, even if they have the Finn Balor's and their other talent, Keith Lee, I think AEW was right up there with a Monday or a Friday night show that's produced with WWE. I really do.
Linda Kay.
I think so. I mean, we were waiting for the two big debuts to take place this week on Dynamite. So regardless of whether there was that audience or not, viewers would have been tuning in just for that factor alone.
And what does Chernoff say?
Chernoff says that I think they would have had, I agree with everybody, they would have just had a great show had there been an audience. But I do think what you said is true, that maybe our expectations were slightly lowered by the WWE. And I think the big thing there was that it was like a throwaway for WWE. They were like, well, we need to put some content out. We'll do some matches. We'll show some clip shows. Whereas AEW could tell every aspect of that show, they put thought into, okay, how can we make the best of our situation? And to me, honestly, the fact that NXT was just a clip show really helped, obviously, but to me, that's just what has made AEW so interesting, is the fact that they are always constantly looking and saying, what can we do with each segment, make it better, where WWE sometimes feels like they've just thrown a segment out there.
You know what's amazing? They still had decent numbers on NXT.
No, they had one of their lowest ratings ever.
But I'm saying it was still
534,000.
534,000 people still watched in to watch a clip show.
Did they know they were going to watch a clip show?
They still watched it.
We don't have quarter hours. We got the quarter hours from the Royal Rumble Raw.
Yeah.
And the Royal Rumble was the highlight of the night. The contract signing between AJ and Undertaker took a dump right after that.
Well, of course, but I'm just saying, overall, it's still a lot of people watched a show that wasn't even the show.
We're live here on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and of course Fight TV. And a great question coming in from YouTube, Chris S82. Can we talk about MJF? He is absolute money. He didn't even have to wrestle to steal the show. David, I don't think we've heard your insight as to your thoughts of one MJF.
I think MJF is a great 1980s style Roddy Piper bully.
Really?
Yeah, I do. I mean, he gets heat no matter what he does, much like Piper. Piper said everything that wasn't appropriate back in the day.
Did he ever flip off a kid?
No.
As
boy.
MJF did?
And that for me is the big difference. I mean, if that's what the company wants him to do, okay, fine. Am I a fan of it? No, but again, they're not targeting me. You know what I mean? But Roddy Piper did a lot of stuff that was very similar, though. Ask Haiti Kid. Ask Mr. T. You know, ask Jimmy Snuka. So, but no, MJF, he's a stud. He looks the part. He is the part. I know that he has Drew Bay's big jacked up bud from Pittsburgh with him, Wardlow, I think it is. And he has all the tools right now to become one of the top 3 guys in AEW.
He could become one of the top 3 guys. You don't think he is already?
No, he's not. Because that means he has to jump over Jericho, Cody, and John Moxley.
Drew, your thoughts on MJF? One Maxwell Joseph Freeman.
I think MJF's a great, like Dave said, 80s heel. He's the things he does with the kids is not my cup of tea. That's not how I conduct myself, but I know he's trying to make a living, so good for him. I'm from Long Island. I know exactly where he's from. His gimmick works where he's from, but I knew that was coming. But no, MJF is definitely not top 3. He could be there eventually, but I mean, the win he got over Cody cements him as easily top 5 right now, yes.
Josh Chernoff.
I'd be remiss if I did not point out that it's Maxwell Jacob Friedman.
Did I say Joseph?
You said Joseph and I believe Freeman or
you're bringing
something.
it all out, huh? See, that's why you're here.
This is
This
called the Damian Nelson burial.
This is Josh Chernoff's second and last show with the Pro Wrestling Report PrimeTime, ladies and gentlemen. Josh, it's so great having you here, and good luck with your show. So Chernoff, check, and you can send us.
For those of you who enjoy watching me on this show, I have terrible news.
It's still a good tie, though. That's a good tie.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I am a big fan of MJF, even though he doesn't like to talk to me whenever I'm in his presence, but I'm still a big fan of MJF. And as far as the giving the finger, Dave, you had said something about how it's not geared towards you, but at the same time, it's also not geared towards kids. They're a TV-14 program. So the way that I see it is when a father is choosing to take his 7-year-old kid to meet one of the stars of a program that is saying they are for people twice that age, I don't know. I mean, was it ideal? No, I don't think he had to do that. But again, that's kind of who he is, and he stays true to it.
If that doesn't excuse his actions, I don't care if my kid's 10.
That's gimmick up there that said, "Hey, did we forget about the Attitude Era?" I never once saw Steve Austin flip off a kid.
He flipped off
everybody.
You.
But it was
he flipped off everybody. No. He flipped off kids, women, and children.
He did not. There is not one picture you could find of him flipping off a kid at an autograph signing. I would bet my last dollar.
The optics are a little different.
There are definitely things during the show, at least, where you see Shawn Michaels doing some things that I'm not going to act out on here, and their kids
that was on Monday Night Raw.
Right. No, and I understand, but at the same time, let's say when you're going to these meet and greets, there's this expectation nowadays that you're going to meet the actor that plays MJF. But no, the reality is you want to go to these things. You want to meet MJF, the character. You don't
flip off me. He could flip off you. The second he flips off a 7 or 8-year-old kid, I'm not saying I would do it, and I don't think he should have done it. What I am saying, though, is that you kind of had to assume something
inappropriate was going to happen, he was going to, at the very least, be pretty rude, which I wouldn't have necessarily brought my 7-year-old kid to meet that guy.
Me either, but I don't think that gimmick needed that. I don't. I get what he's trying to accomplish, but you just don't do it. That kid might be ruined.
So here's the thing. Right now we're talking about it. When I saw it, it's much like when I listen to Jim Cornette's podcast every week. I love it, but I cringe. It's fantastic. It's tremendous, but I'm like, ooh, gosh, you can't do that, because here's what you have to remember about the Attitude Era. Here's what you have to remember about even the Austin days. WWE was not as valuable a brand then as it is now. What I mean by that is to networks, to advertisers, you have to take those things into consideration when you're a publicly traded company, not necessarily AEW, who is trying to be distinctly different from WWE in every regard.
And they are. I mean, Tony Khan is completely different in every way, shape, or form than Vince McMahon or Triple Paul Levesque. I just don't think this was needed. I know I'm going to get destroyed about that, but I don't think MJF needed to flip off a kid. I don't.
All right, so Drew says no. Josh says yes. Linda says
no. I don't say yes. I don't think it needed.
MJF apologist.
That's the receipt you got for burying Damien.
Yes, that's.
Well, let's ask the audience out there. You're following us on socials. You're watching us on Twitter, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Fight TV, where we've got the opportunity to engage as well. Was that too far? I know it was a couple weeks ago, and we'll get back to this week's AEW Dynamite in a minute. Was that too far? Should MJF had done what I want to do to Dave every week, and that is pick one of these fingers and leave it up in front of him?
Yeah, but your pinky's up. There it is.
So share your comments, and we will go ahead and share them here on screen. But let's talk about the rest of Dynamite, folks. What a show. Again, everyone seems to be in agreement. However, there was 2 parts of the show that were viewed as controversial or maybe not the best of ideas by some. And the first of which was what I thought was absolutely amazing promo that Cody gave in the ring, talking basically about our current situation, not to be overly fearful, but to be aware. Whipped in storyline conversation along with that. But a lot of people said that perhaps it diminished the seriousness of the reaction that some people, or a lot of people, should be taking to the situation. Dave, is there any validity to that?
I don't think so. I think he was being responsible. And he got both messages across the best way he could. Cody Rhodes has become a leader in professional wrestling.
One more time.
Cody Rhodes has become a leader in professional wrestling.
And this was after he was...
Before he absolutely sucked a few years ago, about 10 years ago, 12 years ago.
Oh, y'all.
He did. He wasn't good when he was fighting DX. He lost every night.
I don't know why you have to continue to harp on the past.
Because
you're sitting here talking about the Attitude Era. You're sitting here talking about 10, 15, 20 years ago.
In subtle ways, you bring it up all the time. Because you're hoping...
I endorsed him, and he became a star, and he is now...
Listen, Cody and I are cool now. We're very
You were until we started the show again, I think.
Because you've found ways to trick me, Mixelplick.
That sounds like it's something you probably shouldn't be calling me on live broadcast all over the world.
It's fine.
Josh Chernoff, Cody's promo, what'd you think?
I think he had the intent of something really good, and I think it just kind of didn't come out exactly as he had hoped, and I think that's why some people kind of had that reaction of, I think maybe he wasn't taking it so seriously. I think he was trying to explain very serious times. You need to be taking care of yourself. You need to be taking care of your family. But that he doesn't, when he said that I don't want to live in fear, I don't think it came off the way maybe he was originally intending it to. And it came off more like he was encouraging people to go get together in a big group, which I don't think is what he wanted. So overall, though, I thought it was a really cool start. I liked the fact that he came out there and was talking, right into the camera, that he did blend the storyline into his address to the fans. I think it was fine. I don't think it was that big of a deal, and I think it just kind of came off differently than he had hoped.
Drew Bay, what do you say?
Yeah, I think it was different, but it just wasn't what we were looking for. And I like Cody Rhodes. I think he's done everything right that he possibly could. Just wasn't my flavor, and that happens sometimes. But I think his message was what it was, and it was just delivered strangely for me. But
so what's your problem with AEW? Because you didn't like what MJF did. You don't like what Cody did.
I love AEW. I thought that they absolutely killed it on Wednesday, and I think their pay-per-views have been far better than anything WWE's put out in the past out of 3 months, besides with the exception of the Royal Rumble. I have no problem with AEW. I think their product is something we're all craving and looking for, and I think it's going to be even bigger in the next couple of years. And that was adamant, by the way. TNT gave them a 4-year extension very quickly out of the gate. I have no problem with AEW.
And another show.
Right, absolutely.
So, speaking of another show, AEW was very, very careful to not say next week once on this week's AEW Dynamite. Now, I would read further into that than the current situation everybody's in. We don't know what anybody's doing, or no one knows what they're going to be able to do tomorrow. But is a hiatus an option? Last Wednesday we talked about delaying WrestleMania, and maybe that isn't a good idea. In the case of AEW, what happens if there is no next week and it's in a few weeks?
My understanding is next week, if they can't go, AEW Dark will air in its place.
And we do know that they taped additional matches before and after Dynamite this past week, just in case they're hedging their bets, much like WWE's hedging its bets and taping things in advance, including possibly WrestleMania, which we'll talk about a little bit later on here. But you know what? I want to give a collective attaboy to AEW and everybody involved, even though there was one more thing that people were questioning their logic on from Dynamite this past Wednesday, and that was the fact that they had so many people there. They had the stars in the audience. They had them interacting very closely. And some say that may have been a bit irresponsible. Again, proper or over or underreaction, David?
If you ask the talent if they want to come in, are they being irresponsible?
By asking them to come in, or the talent?
No, I say, hey, if you don't want to come in, that's fine, we get it.
And we understand that option was given.
So, that's being very responsible, saying, hey, if you're not comfortable, stay home. Right?
Yes.
And some did.
They did.
Check.
Linda, any unnecessary risk by having the talents all interacting over the course of the Dynamite episode this past Wednesday?
Well, I mean, they weren't necessarily gathered in masses. I mean, a couple here on one side, a couple here on the other side, but obviously there weren't any capacity limits set in the state of Florida quite yet, as we saw from the beach footage of all the spring breakers, that there weren't limitations met yet. So it was technically okay to have them there. And if they did have that choice, do you want to come in? Do you want to stay home? That is just fine as well. And I don't think it was necessarily a risk. I mean, it obviously benefited them by producing and developing a much better show this past Wednesday night.
Drew?
Yeah, I think it's an overreaction. I think what they did was fine. Like Linda said, there's no restrictions in Florida. It might be coming. And I think they obviously either asked these talent or got medically screened before. I don't think they would take that risk. Tony Khan and AEW, they deal with football. They deal with professional soccer. There's no way they're going to take that risk and take that heat. I think it's an overreaction. I think AEW did what they wanted to do, and I think it was the smart play because it was far better than WWE this week.
Thank you, Drew. And Josh, what do you say?
I do think it was a bit of an overreaction because I think you've made a decision that you're going to put this show on. The thing that cracked me up, and Damian, Dave, we had the opportunity to be at the AEW pay-per-view together. When you're backstage, it's not like they would have been able to have every single person separated. I'm sure backstage they were closer than they were at ringside. So the way I looked at it was, yeah, you're seeing them out there and that gives the appearance of a large collection of people. But to think that in the WWE Performance Center, that talent, that each person was in their own individual quarantined room or whatever, I don't think that's logical. So to me, you've made a decision that you're putting this show on. Everyone's accepting that you're putting this show on. Well, you're accepting that there's a risk. You're having these people here, and that's why they may end up getting shut down eventually, all of the shows that are doing this, both companies. But no, I mean, I look at it and say, how is this any different than whoever was waiting in the wings backstage?
Fair enough. Valid point. And we are going to. Whoa! Look at that. Wait a minute.
Whoa.
Wait a minute. There's some ODB here all of a sudden. You know what? What the heck? Since you're here, Jess, ODB, welcome to the Pro Wrestling Report Prime Time.
Yeah.
There,
Prime
go
time.
ahead.
What's up, baby?
By all means. now she's here.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So good to see you. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us here on Prime Time. And where are you? What are you doing right now?
I'm in Minnesota. Yeah, you betcha. Getting some fresh air.
Yeah, well,
outside.
fresh air, of course, but you've been getting some fresh air down in Atlanta recently with NWA Powerr. How's it feel being down there and working with that great production?
That actually was freaking awesome. It was so fun because I know all those guys and girls. I've worked with all those guys for so many years, and it was so fun. The locker room was awesome. And my last match was against Thunder Rosa. Oh,
Yes.
boy, I was sore for a week. Oh, boy. Well, I barely wrestle much anymore, so that was a good match, but she brought a lot out of me.
Well, let's go back a little bit. You say you don't wrestle a lot anymore, or had not wrestled a lot much anymore, which is true. But there was a reason for that. You went off and started a business, and that business was interrupted, unfortunately. But now I understand you have news to share.
I have a brand new food truck. Oh, yeah. I just picked it up a few days ago. It's amazing. The pictures doesn't do it good. Like, it's ridiculous. Bigger and better. And I can't wait to get on the road after all this stuff is done in this world. I'm going to be cruising on the road soon, hopefully. And it's awesome. Like, it's my dream food truck. Everything happens for a reason. Sometimes it has to be bad, but it all worked out at the end.
So you're in Minnesota now, Minneapolis, I assume, or somewhere near. And is that Miller, Bud, or Coors?
Oh, it's a Golden Light. It's a Minnesota beer.
Oh, that's even more tremendous. You just keep getting better and better and better.
She doesn't drink that retail stuff. She's all about the fancy stuff.
Oh, yeah.
You threw me off a little bit there. Go ahead, David.
So, ODB, since you've had some time off, I'm sure you're working on new menu items, right? Anything?
Actually, I
hot,
just
exciting?
did my website's coming out. So look for ODB's meetandgreet.com. Should be out next week.
How do you spell meat?
MEAT. How do you spell meat?
Well, we're live. I'm not going to answer that question.
And then I also got something pretty cool. You can actually order me online.
Whoa, wait a minute.
When you're near, wait, that didn't sound good. Times are tough right now. I got to do it. I meant if you're near my food truck, so let's say you're 10 minutes away from, and you don't want to wait in my long lines, you can order online and get your food faster from me. So you have to be in the area to get me.
Awesome.
And to get my meat. And then what else do I got going on? Since it's downtime, I've been working on a lot. Oh, and then on Pro Wrestling Tees, starting next week, we'll start selling my barbecue sauce.
Fantastic. ProWrestlingTees.com, meetandgreet.com as well.
And let me just say, her barbecue sauce, Cal puts it on everything.
Yeah.
Mac and cheese, pizza, you name it, Cal has put it on just about everything.
I've seen him do it too.
I put it on pork the other day.
Well, that's what it's supposed to be on. Barbecue.
Oh.
Who puts it on mac and cheese or pizza?
So ODB, during this challenging time in the wrestling business and in the world, clearly you're outside and enjoying yourself and not taking any kind of quarantine at this point. I'm sure you're being safe and responsible.
Yeah, but I'm being safe.
What has this all meant for you, not only in the food truck business, but when this next time we're going to see you get back together with your friends down in the NWA? And what has been the disruptions caused by this virus situation to your life?
Well, the wrestling, there's not going to be much wrestling for me for the rest of this year. It's all about the food truck. My grand opening was supposed to be March 27th. As of now, I really don't see that happening right now, which kind of sucks, but I'm just taking it day by day. You never know. We may have some good news next week. So far, Minnesota's doing all right. I mean, just our bars and restaurants are open. but I'll be getting my food truck license next week.
Awesome.
So I may be doing a little just like the ice cream man. I may be going around neighborhoods and I selling pork sandwiches.
What music are you going to play?
My entrance. I'll have it
Awesome.
Oh, shit.
Now, wait. What does it take? You said meet and greet. That's MEAT, meetandgreet.com. What does it take to get that truck to your own event or your own place?
It depends where
if
you're
you're
at.
a viewer out there and you want to book ODB, because you told us we could buy you online and we can buy your meat. All of that's
Yeah, if you
tremendous.
could go once my website's up next week, you can send me emails for private events. Of me doing. I have a lot of.
Sounds even better, just so you know.
What's
Private
that?
events.
Private event. Has to be at least 25 people.
Oh my! Oh, you're talking about the food truck.
Oh, wait a minute. What are you talking about?
ODB, it's always great to have you here on Pro Wrestling Report. You've been a great friend of the show and a very, very dear friend of the show for a long time. In closing, as we close out here with this segment, what words of encouragement or advice do you have for the fans out there who are sequestered in their homes, who aren't going to WrestleMania, and have nothing else to do right now?
Oh, boy. Well, go to the liquor store because they might be closing next. So that's number one. But, just take this time. I know it's rough for all of us. A lot of us are out of jobs, me included. No bartending for me right now or food trucking. But we'll get this, we'll get through this together. Maybe it's a kind of a thing for maybe us to kind of slow down and, maybe help each other out in any way we can. And just try not, have fun on social media. Don't be, just have fun during this time on social media. Share what you're doing at home to try to stay safe. And let's just do this all together and have, we'll get through this. We'll get through it.
Well, ODB, thank you for joining us. As always, truer words have not been spoken yet tonight here on this show, so thank you for contributing some civility, if you will. Enjoy that beer. What kind of meat will you have tonight? Gotcha! ODB, that's meetandgreet.com, right? MEAT and greet.com. And that food truck will be up and running again soon. ODB, thank you so much for joining us.
See you, boys. Thank you.
We look forward to seeing you again soon. Pro Wrestling Report returns in just a moment with hot news and more.
The wait is over. All Elite Wrestling is now available on AEW Plus. What are we seeing? This is your chance to watch AEW Dynamite, commercial-free and live every Wednesday night. Let's do this! Exclusively on the Fight Digital Sports Television platform. AEW Plus is available in over 100 countries outside the U.S., Canada, Germany, and France. AEW Plus can be viewed on your smart TV, mobile device, Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, or at Fight.tv. You ain't seen nothing yet. Starting this month, AEW Plus will also feature every episode of AEW Dark. Download the Fight app now and join the revolution today.
Collar and elbow bouts usually began as a contest of balance. The opening position or stance featured the hand and arm positioning which gave the wrestling style its name. Contestants faced one another, each placing one hand on his adversary's shoulder and gripping his adversary's forearm with his other hand. This establishes the opening box, prevents bull-like rushes or throat grabs, minimizes disadvantages in height or arm's reach, and prevents deft footwork. Here, the champion squares off with the challenger. Each holds the stance until his opponent forces or permits him to break.
Welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Report, PrimeTime Live. Damian Nelson sitting alongside David Octavius Hero.
You know, you just always rake the eyes. You always cut me off before I want to say something.
Why don't you wait till I get us back into the live audience and let them know who we are,
Patience
why
is
we're
one
here,
of
what
my
we're talking about
superpowers.
before you have to just leap. Why don't you just wait? Just wait a moment. Just wait. Calm down. Slow down.
Sweet. Okay, we good? I'm ready. Collar and Elbow, one of the official partners of the Pro Wrestling Report and Ohio Valley Wrestling, where you can get Shut Up and Wrestle, the Mean Gene Okerlund shirt. The collarandelbowbrand.com. Right now, we are doing free shipping. Guess what, pal? You're picking up the bill for all shipping.
Of course I am. I'm
Free
probably
shipping,
picked it up already.
international, domestic, you name it. Collarandelbowbrand.com. Use promo code OVWPWR to get free shipping everywhere.
Everywhere?
Everywhere.
Forever, ever?
Todo el mundo for our Spanish-speaking super friends.
OVW PWR, Ohio Valley Wrestling, of course.
Yes.
And, you know, ODB is just fantastic.
She is. And just so we're clear, on the website,
She was talking about, like, beef and pork and chicken and like that kind of meat.
She is not selling herself because that's not legal.
I gotta cancel my order.
She would get cut down, shut down for that. But it's ODB's meet and greet, not and, it's ngreet.com.
And greet.
Meet and the letter N greet.com. ODB's meet
I
and
think we should
greet.
put that on the screen or something there, huh? What's Cal doing tonight? What are you supposed to be typing that stuff in?
I just wait. Why isn't it popping up for me? Hey, Miss Betty, seriously, can you get that up on there?
Thank you, ODB, for joining us. So we're going to continue here. I'm sorry.
She's working on it.
We're going to continue here on the Pro Wrestling Report Prime Time. Thanks for your comments. A lot of great comments about ODB. Some of them we couldn't show, but we understand. So keep those comments coming on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and all over our socials.
For the record, she is one of the most amazing people you're ever going to meet in the wrestling business.
Yes.
And legitimately, I mean, I can't say enough. Her food is fantastic.
Her food.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, it's super good.
An unfortunate situation with losing the food truck. Now the food truck back. Obviously, a lot of fans helped in that regard.
And it's bigger and better than it ever was. Now it's a legit food truck. It's no longer just the pull-along trailer gimmick.
Indeed. Well, it's time for this week's hot news. David Hero, big thing, of course, we talked about all week, WrestleMania.
Yes.
We don't know what the hell's going on. I mean, at this point, it depends on who you listen to. We know that they're going to be airing.
About it?
I'm not hot about it. I'm just done speculating. I want to just find out what the plan's going to be, even though I know they don't know what the plan's going to be, because they can't know what the plan's going to be until the plan happens. But we do know that WrestleMania and WWE are going to be getting some additional mainstream exposure starting real soon.
This is a great partnership for both ESPN and WWE, because ESPN is in dire need of content, because they have nothing to put on. I mean, put it this way, even the World Poker Tour is canceled, okay? So they need content, and they're going to get some WrestleMania action. Is that appropriate to say?
After the last segment, I think it's fine.
You took that off the rails. But yes, ESPN, WWE going to be showcasing 3 WrestleManias. I'm not too sure which ones they are. I forgot. It's in my notes somewhere, but I've been scribbling all over my notepad. Now I can't read what I had.
WrestleMania 30.
30
is the first
That
one.
was New Orleans.
It was New Orleans, and
Easy.
then
I'm not going to touch you.
shown. But what about this year's WrestleMania? There's talk now that it may be pre-recorded. There's talk now WWE saying it's going to be a new out-of-the-box
There's no
concept.
way it
It's
can
going to
be
be all over.
pre-recorded.
Why not? It's a closed set.
It will leak out. Somebody will say
The
something.
finish to Game of Thrones never leaked out.
Of course it was.
No, it wasn't.
WrestleMark316 on Twitter had the entire thing on there.
So, when they say out of the box,
Yes.
when they say something different, something brand new, something unique, all those opportunities exist, right?
Yes.
What would you do?
I need fans. That's what I need. You need an audience.
How do you get them
You
in
wait.
this situation?
Now you gotta wait. And here's why. Because remember what I said, what content do you have while you're waiting for WrestleMania? You have all this empty space? No. What you do, here's what you do. It's very simple. It's very easy. You give ESPN your WrestleMania catalog, and you give them one every week to get Joe Walmart, who hasn't watched WWE in 10, 15 years, the opportunity to see the spectacle for free and get renewed interest and watch the other ratings grow because people want to watch something. Wouldn't you agree? Of course you do. You're not paying attention, but I'm used to that. So you build up.
Talk to the truck.
5 or 6 weeks, you let them show a WrestleMania, so then it builds up to the ultimate WrestleMania this year, wherever it may be, Chicago, New York, Connecticut, Miami.
What about the Milwaukee? You know, it's the site of the Democratic National Convention in July.
That's why we don't come here.
Why is that?
Well, because, Vinnie Mac and Donnie T, they're pals. And let's be honest. Listen, we love Milwaukee. Where are they going to put it here? Miller Park?
Why not?
Not going to fit.
How's it not going to fit?
There's not enough.
So now you're booking arenas?
Of course I am. I know how
So
this
how
works.
did the Royal Rumble fit in any baseball stadium in the country? WrestleMania was
But-
going to be
but-
at Miller
but
Park.
Milwaukee's not a
it?
top 5, top 10 city in the
So
nation.
you're not saying it won't fit in the building. You're saying people won't come even though they come from all over the
No.
world.
They'll come. There aren't enough hotels and all the other kind of stuff.
The Democratic National Convention is going to have more people in town
And
than
they're building
WrestleMania will.
hotels for it.
So then after that, they would be able to accommodate it. You're in this rabbit hole. I feel like I'm watching one of those press conferences
but
that are
here's the other
happening every
thing.
day.
It's too cold in Milwaukee in April.
No, it's too cold. The building won't hold it. There's not enough hotels, and now it's too
The
cold.
third floor of Miller Park doesn't have heat. You know that?
I do know that. Now I know that, rather. We lost Chernoff. Let's get him back on here.
Seriously?
What? There he is.
Oh, okay.
Well, you stop kicking things. You're pounding on the
He's
desk.
been very high maintenance.
No,
tonight.
you know what? Josh disappeared when ODB was on.
Yeah.
What were you doing?
I think I was taking notes.
Oh, he wanted to get that website down. He wanted to make
That's
sure he had
ODB's Meet and Greet.
And hey,
.com.
remember, you have to have at least 25 people.
I got meet and greet. Is that correct?
Yes, yes.
Well, hot news continues. WrestleMania. We don't know what's going to happen. We're going to continue to share with you the news of what's going to happen that we are told is going to happen, and then it's only going to change by the time we're with you again live. Good news is we're with you live 3 nights a week. That's Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are on our premier broadcast partner, Fight TV, and that's FITE, Fight. The app is free. They just announced a new 24/7 free streaming service to fill your void of wrestling over the course of the next few weeks as we endure these isolation and quarantine periods. But more importantly, Fight's been a great partner of the Pro Wrestling Report for quite some time. They will continue to be, and we want you to engage with us on the Fight TV app. If you can watch Netflix, wherever you watch Netflix, if you have the Fight TV app, you can watch it the same way. They have a live chat feature on Fight TV. You can join in and be a part of that conversation. And coming up in the next couple of weeks here, as we continue to work out all of our socializing, we'll have your comments from the Fight TV chat also sharing right here on this program. And speaking of Fight TV, Josh Chernoff, a new associate here on the Pro Wrestling Report, has his own show over on Fight TV. So says Chernoff, and it's a monthly show. I think a new episode dropped last month, Josh.
Last night.
Last night.
And last month, because it's a monthly show. So yeah.
See what I did there?
Yeah. Appreciate it. Yeah.
What's in store for people from So says Chernoff this week?
Oh man. Well, a little Corona mania going on. We talked about but we took a humorous look. It's a satirical news show, so we took a humorous look at everything that's going on in wrestling. But then I also took an opportunity for a main segment on the show to really talk about the effects that this is having on independent wrestling and maybe ways that we can help out some of our favorite independent wrestlers. One of those ways, of course, is going and buying their merchandise online. But yeah, we took a fun look at a lot of things. And I strongly encourage that you go watch So Says Chernoff.
Of course you do.
I do. I'm the number one
Fight
fan.
TV, FITE Fight. More hot news. WWE's Hall of Fame, obviously NXT TakeOver, Access Fan Fest, not happening in Tampa, not happening in any way, shape, or form as it was originally planned to during WrestleMania. What do you do with the Hall of Fame? We heard it was speculated or maybe even announced to some of the Hall of Fame inductees that it would take place over the course of SummerSlam weekend, which I actually think is a tremendous idea.
That's exactly what I would do. There's no question. NWO in Boston? You know how crazy
The
that
old
would be?
Fleet Center.
Oh my gosh. Good God.
Chernoff, good call or not?
I think the first good call that they've made regarding this entire weekend. Yeah, I think especially when you look at the British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith, being inducted, and the height of his career has got to be that match at Wembley Stadium, which was a SummerSlam. So to be able to kind of tie that together with a nice little bow, I think will be fun for his family. But yeah, I think, look, you have Access can easily be done with SummerSlam. They have built SummerSlam up over the last few years, you know, as the biggest party of the summer, but also kind of like their second to WrestleMania. Well, you know, they have the opportunity this year for it to be really their WrestleMania, the next one coming up. So I think there's a lot of potential for that, and I think moving the Hall of Fame is a good idea.
And the Bellas might have their kids by then.
Yeah, right.
Here's my question.
Might have them
Do you
on.
get rid of all this drama and all this hoopla and hoorah and just say, you know what? All evidence shows that this could last into the summer. It might go a little longer, but is it not a safe bet to just say SummerSlam is canceled? WrestleMania will take place
Absolutely
on August
not.
whatever. And all the associated events, do them in Boston, do them on a smaller scale, whatever, but WrestleMania has to happen. So let's just get rid of all this speculation now, and if I'm WWE, I would just say SummerSlam, nope, maybe that's a special Raw 1 week. And now WrestleMania is going to happen in August.
You might have that COVID gimmick. You're not feeling right.
What's wrong?
You can't push away a SummerSlam.
Why not? Can you push away a WrestleMania, which essentially they're going to be doing?
No, you're not going to.
It won't be the WrestleMania that we know. It won't be the WrestleMania that we want. It won't be the WrestleMania that we
As
like.
long as it's in an arena, it's WrestleMania.
But it's not going to be in an arena.
It will be.
Which arena?
They're going to push it back.
So if they're going to push it back, then why
Yes.
not push it back to replace SummerSlam? And say right now, August 23rd, whatever the date is.
Because I want to go to SummerSlam in Boston.
You weren't going to go.
Yeah, of course I was.
Fans, let us know what you think. It's time to go into the lounge. WrestleMania. Do it on April 5th from 28 places around the country with 12 people in each.
How about June?
Do it in June.
Mm-hmm.
Or do it in place of SummerSlam. Hashtag PWR Live. Hashtag PWR Live, as you see above his head there, because that sure ain't no halo. What should WWE do with WrestleMania? I know we've talked about it a lot this week, but the story has been so fluid. There are stars saying that they only want to do it in front of fans. As Dave said, if he were doing it, he'd do it in front of fans. ODB said earlier she'd do it in front of fans of 25 or more.
At least 25.
What do you think? Share with us your comments now. And while we aggregate your comments to show on screen here, let's go to Josh Chernoff for his thoughts on those three options. WrestleMania April 5, WrestleMania in June, or replace SummerSlam with WrestleMania. Chernoff, what do you say?
I would take option B. I do not think that they should replace SummerSlam. What are they going to do? Then they're going to replace Survivor Series with SummerSlam and keep, I think this is a company that in the past they've had a Saudi show and then the next weekend another pay-per-view. Why can't they theoretically have WrestleMania and then 3 weeks later have SummerSlam? They're different shows. And when you look back over time, you're going to look at it and you're going to see just these different shows. So I don't think they should replace it. I really don't like the idea of WrestleMania taking place. We talked about this on Wednesday. WrestleMania taking place at the Performance Center. Now 2 nights, and now adding Gronkowski, which was like they looked at it and said, how can we possibly make this worse? So to me, I don't think that this is a good idea to do either replacing or to do it at the Performance Center. Put it right in the middle. June, as you said.
All right, final answer?
Final answer, June or July, or whenever we're allowed out of our bubbles.
Let's see what the fans are saying out there. Looks like we've got a comment here on YouTube, Malvin Jackson. Who cares? The world ends without SummerSlam. Not sure what that was. However, let's go to Nate Padberg, who says, do WrestleMania as they have planned now. halt all the storylines till the COVID gimmick dies out. Yes, it will suck without the fans. Caleb can you say you're good with names, David Hero?
Said it.
Move SummerSlam to July and put Mania in August. There you go. Tim Drake, WrestleMania should just focus on Los Angeles. And, well, maybe so. And a good point, Charles S82, WrestleMania 2 emanated from New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles. Do they take WrestleMania nationwide again? I think that was a great concept for WrestleMania 2. They had such a huge roster, and they were doing A, B, and C tours at that time.
Right.
They're not doing that now, but, I mean, something big, different out of the box. Maybe take WrestleMania national.
Not a chance. You can't do that.
Why not? Satellite trucks can link up in outer space.
100 people in each building?
Why are you? No, not now. I'm talking later, when they can have people in whatever building they want to have. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're new to this broadcast, new to this program, and Josh, let me explain to you, he is a pessimist. He looks at the baddest, worst way things can pan out, and then frames it.
And then you fix it.
So that...
And that's what you do. You find the worst case scenario, and you build up from there.
Tonight on SmackDown, let's preview what's going to happen. Gronk is in the house. Rob Gronkowski, who's the host of WrestleMania, will be on SmackDown, and we are also going to see, and less blurry than you just saw us, but we're also going to see the contract signing between Roman Reigns and Goldberg.
You think the fans are going to boo or cheer Gronkowski in Orlando?
Gronk. I don't know. What's
there are no fans.
That's why you got to have fans.
But there are no fans.
Exactly, but you need some.
Would Sammy Guevara sing his theme song, I guess is the question. Like he sang Jericho's on Wednesday on Dynamite.
Well,
you don't like Sammy, do you?
No, I don't mind Sammy at all.
You grunt. Every time I mention an AEW star, you grunt.
I was adjusting my foot. I said foot. That could be taken two different ways, but I really meant my foot.
You literally have tonight SmackDown. So why don't you adjust your foot, Josh? Gronk, contract signing, probably all we're going to see from the PC. What can SmackDown do tonight to keep us engaged?
I think they need to. It's such a cliche to say think outside the box, but if they can take anything from what happened on Dynamite, they can look at this and say, let's not just do here's a contract signing just exactly as it would have been had we been in an arena with a big audience, but instead it's empty. Do something different. And I don't know off the top of my head what that would be, but this is off the top of my head, I haven't been sitting there all week thinking about how to plan this out. So I think they need to take this opportunity to just do something different, do something unique with this show, not just a clip show. They certainly can't now have people just sitting in the crowd or you're copying AEW, but they are creative people there. There's no reason why they can't come up with something to make it feel special, not feel less than. And that's the big thing that they've had is without the audience, it's felt less than. But AEW managed to somehow make it feel special and different.
Well, they got to do something huge simply because AEW had Luke Harper and Matt Hardy.
Mm-hmm.
SmackDown needs to fire back and do something just as big to get the steam back.
Rowan and Jeff Hardy.
Yeah, it's returning with his own new music.
What?
Jeff Hardy's returning with his own new music.
Yes.
His new own music.
Yeah, with that thing when he goes like this.
Folks, we want to thank all of you for joining us here tonight on PWR PrimeTime Live, and we want to reward those from Wednesday's episode who were the top social engagers with us, those who commented the most as we were live, and you get an on-air mention when we do that, and when you do that, rather. So this past Wednesday, the winner on YouTube was Arvin Yoga. Thank you for interacting with us. Over on Twitter, Martin Duffin, was the top commenter, top poster, and then Richard Corona over on Facebook. Engaged the most with us on Wednesday, this past Wednesday on Primetime. Who will get the nod tonight? We're 30 seconds away from SmackDown. You'll find out Monday when we're live with you again, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Fight TV. And David, a huge guest lined up for Monday.
I can't wait for Monday. Oh, I got to give it away?
Yeah, who's the guest?
It's the Hall of Famer.
Hall of Famer?
It's Rikishi.
Ah, yes! We will be Too Cool Monday with Rikishi live here on PWR Primetime Live. We lost Josh and Drew and Linda along the way. Thanks, Josh, for joining us and coming back into the broadcast with us and joining us tonight as well. And thank you to Drew and Linda. And thank you to all of you for engaging with us. And share the show. Share your thoughts. Share your ideas. If you didn't watch it live, you're watching it after that, obviously, and the comments are still flowing. So thank you very much for joining in for that one. This is Damian Nelson saying thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you again Monday night, 7 o'clock p.m., right here on Fight TV.